I'm Leon Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, I want to give you 4 different ways I like to use the chorus block in the Axe-FX3, FM9 and FM3. Let's jump straight in. I've got my PRS Custom 24 plugged straight into the Axe-FX3. I've got the high power jumped amp model at the settings you can see on the screen. I've just added a little bit of the CC boost in the input boost just to make it a tiny little bit crunchy because it's a very clean sounding amp model. Cabinet is the usual go-to LTTV Mix 7 for me. You can grab this one for free from Axchange, and I'm using a little bit of the medium room reverb. If you've seen the video on my channel going through the Gift of Tone blocks that Alex Lifeson shared, the amp and the reverb and some of these chorus block settings are actually borrowed from that particular video that I did. I'll link it in the video description. For now, let's hear the bridge humbucker on this guitar, then one of the split mode. So we've got a nice crunch happening with that bridge humbucker and plenty of jangle with the split mode. I'm going to stay on the split mode because the first thing I'm going to use is actually a chorus block that was shared with Alex's Gift of Tone presets. This one is called My Uncle Has a Chorus Place. You can probably guess the Rush song that it's based on. But for me, this does one of the things I really like about chorus, where it can just add some subtle shimmer and movement to your guitar tone. Furthermore, if we look at the settings in the block, which we'll hear in a second, the rate is all the way down and the depth is quite high. It's using the Japan CE2 type in here based on a Boss CE2 classic chorus. I think when most people think of chorus, they probably think of a Boss style chorus. So rate really low, depth really high is going to work pretty well on any chorus type, but for this, let's have a listen to how it transforms that kind of jangly tone. If you wanted to make that a little bit more subtle, you can either turn the mix down or the depth down. Likewise, if you want a slightly more intense, detuned style sound on there where you can really hear that chorus working hard, start by turning the depth up, and if you want a little bit more, then turn the mix up a little bit. But I think they're just fantastic settings to get started with on there. This is how I often used to set up real-world chorus pedals. Start with the rate all the way down, depth all the way up. It's going to give you more of a subtle effect. You know, with the depth all the way up on this, it's still going to sound quite detuney. Not the same way pitch detune sounds detuney. Detune is a very technical term there, but you're going to hear that kind of pitch artifact in there. So I like to just turn it down to the point where you're just detecting it for a very subtle chorus. Let's go for the opposite settings for the second use case now. We'll have the rate really high and the depth really low. I'll go to scene 2 over here, and these settings you can see the rate is up around 6 Hertz and the depth is right down. Furthermore, auto depth is off. The auto depth control is going to scale the depth and rate parameters because you have this kind of phenomena with chorus where a high depth and a low rate sounds pretty good, and a low rate and a high depth sounds pretty good as well. Both of them up can sound totally crazy, and both of them down can be a little bit too subtle. So that auto depth parameter in the Axe-FX3 will take care of that. If you want fine control over your chorus, turn it off in there. So we've got the depth at 3%, the rate just below 6 Hertz in there. This particular block is from my blocks library, and it is based on the Arion SCH1 chorus pedal, which can kind of give you a rotary speaker style effect. So let's have a listen to what this sounds like. It's also worth experimenting with whether you place the chorus before any boosts or drives or whether you place them after. Let's go with this wobbly tone on here, and I've got the FET boost loaded up. I'm going to kick it in and we'll hear chorus before the boost and after the boost. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. So for these type of character chorus tones, you know, the Alex Lifeson style subtle wobble or this rotary speaker style intense wobble, I kind of like them before the drive. If I'm going for more of a spatial effect though, I like to place the chorus after the amp and cab block. So this is going to be application number 3 using a Dimension chorus. This is one of my favorite chorus styles of all time, based on the old Roland SDD 2-rack unit with 4-button effect on there. Really, really easy to use, and it's one of those things you just kind of put it on and it sounds good. So have a listen to what this does to a kind of jangly tone on here. I've dialed this one again to kind of have it matched to the Boss DC2 pedal. A shout out to my friend Nicholas in Sweden who helped with doing all the measurements and dialing on all of these. I mentioned that in the standalone video on my channel again. These are in my blocks library, so I've just loaded them in, but you can use whatever settings you want on the Dimension. Let's hear it first and let's get some of that magic. Sounds lovely with that jangly tone. I'm particularly fond of this chorus style for heavily distorted sounds as well. So USA lead mid gain over here. Let's have a listen to what the Dimension style chorus does on this. Now I'm going to call this application 3B because it's a similar idea to the Dimension. It's not identical, but it goes into creating that kind of wide spatial effect. So we'll go to scene 4 on this preset, and we're using the digital stereo type in here. Depth quite low, rate quite low. Auto depth is off, but the phase reverse is set to right. So I'll let you hear this with the phase reverse set to none. Make sure you're listening in stereo for this one or you won't hear the effect. Let's check out what this does just at the stock settings. This is kind of based on a TC2290 setup for chorusing, and then we'll bring in the phase reverse set to right. Now, it doesn't sound identical to the Dimension. That's part of the fun in there. But like I said, the idea is that we're taking this mono source and we're making it sound extra wide. And that phase reverse is where the magic is happening there. Let's hear this one with the USA lead mid gain now. I'll start with it off and then we'll kick it on. Let's hear it. the last example, we have to use the stereo tri-chorus on here for some absolute lush 80s tones. The stereo tri-chorus on its own, I think, sounds fantastic as a really immersive, lush chorus, but it really comes to life when you pair it together with some stereo pitch detune. So I've got some dual detune set up in the pitch block over here, just 9 cents on either side, mix at 40%. We'll hear the tri-chorus on its own, playing some jangly arpeggios, and then I'll kick in the pitch block. Let's try it. This combination really comes to life when you have a super clean, crispy, compressed sound, in my opinion. So this is my Rockman emulation patch. It's a tilt EQ into a compressor. I've got the same stereo tri-chorus settings, and then we'll kick in some pitch detune. This one is from my blocks library based on a Hardware H3000. So we'll just hear the tri-chorus on its own. Then we'll kick in the pitch. This is perfect for those lush 80s arpeggios that I was just playing. We've covered the range from really subtle and organic style tones to these hyper produced, lush sounding chorus tones on here. The range of the chorus blocks and the selection available just by going into the types over here is well worth exploring and spending some time with and kind of figuring out what type of chorus you like. Those first two examples, I think, showcase two really good starting points: rate low, depth high, or depth low and rate high. You can try that with all the different types and figure out how you like them. Then you can experiment with where you place them in the chain, whether it's right at the start of the chain, after a boost, or after the amp and cab for different styles of effects. Let me know any questions or comments in the comments section below. Be sure to hit like and subscribe because there are videos coming out several times during the week on the G66 channel by multiple users covering so many great aspects of the Fractal gear, and it's well worth keeping up to date with. And let me know what you'd like to hear in a future Tuesday Tone Tip. I'll see you all next week. Thanks so much for watching.